On Overdrive today, we bring you the most affordable electric vehicle you can buy in India today. We also check out the facelifted Citroën C5 Aircross, a quick look at Mercedes-Benz India's first locally produced EQS SUV, and we also bring you details on the Moto Morini Escape 650. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Soini. Tata Motors is taking big strides in the mass market EV space. The brand has finally launched the most affordable electric car you can buy in the country today. The Tiago EV, starting at an introductory price of 8.49 lakh rupees for the first 10,000 customers, is honestly a steal, and Tuhin tells you why.
The car you see here, the Tata Tiago EV, is a significant one. Not just because it's another Tata EV in the mainstream segment, but because prices start at 8.49 lakhs, which is well below the rupees 10 lakhs that car makers have been trying to breach for a while with EVs, so that this form of mobility can go truly mainstream. Now, in turning the standard Tiago into the Tiago EV, Tata Motors has done what it usually does with most of these conversions, and you get this new blanked out grille, what would have been the grille, and this new minimalist, much more simpler EV logo, which we think looks quite nice. Of course, the tri-arrow motifs continue here, and the blue highlighting that separates Tata's EVs from the regular car, you can see that here too. And the Tiago, the standard one, always got projector headlamps, so that continue here as well. They're auto, and you also have auto wipers. And to top things off, you have these new, more funkier, snazzier, brighter, sort of EV-specific color options as well. Now, changes to the side of the Tiago EV aren't all that significant, but you do get these hyper-style wheels, which are steel wheels disguised as alloys. We aren't a big fan of these, even in the Tigor EV, and that sort of continues here, although the design may be to some people's liking. Again, that simpler EV badge. And in this top XZ Plus Tech Luxe version, you also get these contrasting black bits on the mirrors, on the roof, and on the door handles. As for ground clearance, the Tiago EV has about 166 mm, which is 4 mm less than the 170 of the standard Tiago, so you don't lose too much in that regard as well. Now, the only significant way that you can tell the EV apart from the standard Tiago from the rear is with this wide new badging, again in a more minimalistic sort of design. Aside from that, it's near identical to the standard Tiago. Now, the Tiago EV can be had in two battery options. What Tata Motors calls medium range is a 19.2 kilowatt battery pack, good for a 250 kilometers of accredited range. And you get about 61 PS and 104 Nm with that motor. But the larger battery pack, which we think will be the more useful one, is a 24 kilowatt battery pack, good for 315 kilometers of range, which should translate into about 250 kilometers in the real world. That makes 75 PS and 114 Newton meters. And that also gets you sport mode, which can get the Tiago EV from 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds. So how do you tell the Tiago EV apart from the regular petrol Tiago? Well, it's the same changes that Tata Motors makes to all the cars it converts into electrics. So you have these blue highlights here around the AC vents, a black and off-whitish interior sort of color palette, leatherette upholstery. And among the changes, the additions over the regular Tiago, first you have these selectable regen modes. You can choose between 4 modes. There are no paddles, but they're easily accessible through here, and you can see it on the screen as well. And you get this older style rotary dial. What came in the first Nexon is also in the Tigor EV, which we don't like as much, considering you don't have a park mode in it, and sort of selecting the gear has always been a bit fiddly. So maybe the one from the Nexon EV Max, that with the bright display, that would have been a good addition, but of course cost is a constraint here. Then another big change is that over and above the long list of features that the Tiago is known for, you also get cruise control, and you get this different digital instrumentation. It's nice. In fact, we like it more than the part digital one in the Nexon EV. It's more simple, but it gives you a lot of information clearly. So you have the regen modes up top, the battery level, the power, and the regen level, you know how much power you're using and so on. So it's a nice, clear instrumentation like on the Tigor EV that continues here as well. Now, the Tiago EV has always been popular because of the amount of features that Tata Motors crams into this small hatchback, and that stays true with the EV version as well. Like we just mentioned, you get even more features. So what's been carried over, you get standard climate control, which is a good addition. You get this nice 7-inch touchscreen. May not be the best touchscreen, but you still get 8 speakers with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you get leatherette upholstery, you get projector headlamps, you get a height adjustable seat for the driver, you get a powered adjustment for the mirror. So it's reasonably well equipped, quite well equipped for the segment it operates in. Now to fit this 24 kilowatt hour battery pack into the Tiago EV, Tata Motors has split it into two parts, considering the smaller body shell it has to work with here. And that has led to some compromises, but not up to a level that you might expect. It's been quite neatly packed in. So of course, the floor is a bit higher up than you would expect in the regular Tiago, which means you sit in a slightly knees-up position. There's slightly less under-thigh support because of that. And you also have this big central tunnel here, which also holds the battery cells. So yes, space for the third passenger isn't what it used to be, but you have a comfortable seat back, a nice angle to it, fairly large windows, a lot of knee room and headroom. So as a four-seater, at least the Tiago EV still works perfectly fine. Now, one of the compromises that Tata Motors has had to make to convert the Tiago into the EV version that this is in terms of boot space. You get 240 litres and that's without the parcel shelf, which means that longer road trips with all four passengers is going to be a bit difficult. Another drawback is that you don't get a spare wheel, which isn't ideal for our conditions, of course. That's because the battery pack, a part of it at least, sits here underneath the floor where a spare wheel usually would be. So it's fine for say a short hop around closer to town, but a longer road trip packing luggage for four might be difficult with the Tiago EV. Now you can buy the Tiago EV with either a 3.3 kilowatt AC wall box or this 7.2 kilowatt AC fast charger. Now the other charging option that you get is DC fast charging. Now Tata hasn't given an exact DC charging speed, but since it takes 10% to 80% in about 57 minutes, we expect it to be about 25 to 30 kilowatt, the DC fast charging speed. And also you can charge it from a 15 amp plug, but of course that takes an extended amount of time. Now the prices that have been announced for the Tiago EV, they top out at 11.79 lakh. They're introductory and valid for the first 10,000 bookings, and 2,000 of those are reserved for previous Tata EV owners. Anyway, bookings open October 10th and you can start getting deliveries of the Tiago EV from January 2023.
Well, the Tiago EV wasn't the only electric car in news this week. Mercedes-Benz India has launched its very first locally assembled EV, the EQS 580 4MATIC. The first made in India Mercedes-Benz EQS 580 4MATIC has launched in India at an incredible 1.55 crore rupees ex-showroom pan-India. This luxury EV is claiming an ARAI verified driving range of 557 km on full charge, which makes it the longest range electric vehicle on sale in India today. Safety is non-questionable with a 5-star Euro NCAP rating and 9 airbags to keep the occupants safe. There's additional peace of mind with 2 years or 30,000 km service interval and 8 years and unlimited kilometer of battery warranty. Local assembly starts today on the same assembly line that brings together the India-made Mercedes Maybach and the S-Class. Welcome back. You're watching Overdrive. Italian manufacturer Moto Morini has made its way to India with 4 premium 650cc motorcycles to shake the space up quite a bit. Chris got to spend a few hours getting to know the Escape X motorcycle targeted at adventurous riders. Here's his first impression.
If you haven't heard of Adishwar Auto Ride India, well, AARI or ARI as some people call it, is the same firm that has brought in brands, motorcycle brands like Keeway and Benelli into India. And now the company just of late over the last couple of months has introduced a new umbrella under which they have 2 more motorcycle brands. The first of which is Moto Morini, which has 2 motorcycles, two variants of each motorcycle, all 650cc motorcycles, parallel twin, awesome looking styling. This one, the Escape X, is the most interesting of them, and I'm here to sample what this motorcycle is all about today. We're going to be riding it out here at the Pro Adventure Park in Pune. We're out here to get some fun, kick up some muck, and check out what the Escape X is all about. So let's get to it. The Escape looks like a nice, slick adventure bike according to me. It's got this nice big bike stance with the 19-inch front, 17-inch rear wheel setup, the fully adjustable upside down Masoji front fork, and the KYB rear shock not only add to the bike's substance, but also visually give you this reassurance that this machine is built to go places while allowing you to set it up as you please. You also have the 7-inch TFT digital instrument cluster, the adjustable windscreen, all LED lighting, the backlit switchgear, which not only look neat but also feel good quality parts too. An aluminum bash plate to keep the engine safe while you have some fun off-road, and even a couple of USB sockets to keep your devices up and running on the go. The Moto Morini Escape 650 comes in two variants. One is the standard Escape and the second is the Escape X. And the only things that separate the pair are the wheels they come with. The Escape 650 comes with alloy wheels, while the X, gets spoke wheels. Also, the X's seat is higher by 25 mm at 835 mm. It's a motorcycle that will manage your skill set very easily and urge you to try and get the hang of something new and ace it. So in that respect, it's quite a commendable machine.
Not only does it look good, but can you have a load of fun on this thing. You have the adjustable suspension, which I really didn't tweak around with this time. The seat height, it's very comfortable. Even shorter riders won't really find it to be a problem. You can really grip the tank nicely with your knees once you stand up and give it the beans. The engine, lovely once again, parallel twin 649cc, 60 PS of power and around 55 odd Nm of torque. Nice amount of power, low down the power band. After 2000 RPM, that's when the fun really starts. But it's just such a simple, enjoyable machine. You only have two ride modes. You have ride and off-road, and you also have the option of switching off ABS completely and off-road mode. Not too tech heavy, just the way I like it, and just the right amount of equipment on this bike to really have some fun. Adventure touring, well, this is a seriously very nice machine.
I really like how easy the Escape is to ride. On smooth roads, well, it's no fuss at all. And out on off-road patches, if you get stuck, you can just rock it around till you get loose and you'll be on your way again in no time. It's a real hoot to ride overall, and definitely a motorcycle someone who's upgrading to and venturing into the mid-displacement ADV space for the first time should definitely consider. Yep, the incoming Himalayan 650 will definitely have its work cut out for it when it arrives out here. And for me, it's all down to this bike's pricing, because this is the one thing that can break this extremely desirable machine.
Chris also got a chance to sample the Zontace 350, yet another impressive adventure motorcycle. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. The Citroën C5 Aircross has our vote as one of the most comfortable SUVs in the segment, with a feeling of expensiveness to match its price tag. With the C5 Aircross facelift, some criticisms against the previous generation model have been addressed, but largely the biggest criticism hasn't. Its price tag. Does the 2022 version of the C5 Aircross make sense then? Let's find out.
This is the facelifted Citroën C5 Aircross, and for just under rupees 3 lakh more for the top of the line Shine variant, which is the only variant it's now available in, Citroën's throwing in fresh new headlights, a new grille design, a new bumper, new alloy wheels and new taillights and some other bits inside. But the question is, for a car that was already considered overpriced, is this update just a little too much for a little too little? That's what we're going to find out. The exterior changes we spoke about herald Citroën's new design language, and while parts of it like the new bumpers, functional air curtains and those smashing 18-inch wheels are very nicely executed, we can't help but feel the pre-facelift model had more of a unique presence both up front and at the rear. When we first saw pictures of the updated Citroën C5 Aircross, we were really excited because we felt that the interiors lacked a bit of modernity, and we were hoping that the facelift would fix that and really bring alive the potential of the car. Now, some of that is true because the 8-inch touchscreen is now a 10-inch touchscreen, but unfortunately the UI is still a little basic, and that's being kind to it. Now, you do get Apple CarPlay, but it's wired only. You do get wireless phone charging. There's a lot of great storage. Now the big change is that the gear shifter is now a gear selector toggle and the drive mode dial is now a drive mode switch. There's still great storage. There's a huge central cubbyhole right here. Now importantly, the seats, which are already one of the most comfortable seats out there, have become even better with 15 mm more padding. What that means is that there's even more plushness and even more softness in the seats. But if you do like your car interiors a little more subtle, the C5 may be right up your alley. There's not enough soft touch surfaces or features really to justify the price, but there's no denying it all feels very well put together and very usable and spacious. The C5 still remains the only SUV to have 3 individually folding and sliding rear seats, even if they aren't as sink into plush as the fronts. It's also got a massive 580 to 720 litre boot. While there haven't been any mechanical changes to the C5, which means it's still powered by that 2-litre diesel engine with 177 PS and 400 Newton meters of torque, going to the front wheels via an 8-speed automatic. When you're navigating narrow bylanes, for example, you'll realize that there's a lot more that Citroën should have put in the update. The first of which should have been 360-degree cameras, because most of the segment offers it. And for a car this large, you do require a little help now and then. Even if this does have front and rear proximity sensors, the cameras just help. Now when you do put your foot down, you'll realize that there is quite a bit of poke to get this SUV moving. Now while you don't have those 360-degree cameras to help you out, what does help the Citroën C5's case in the city is the fact that the steering is very light. Now it does weigh up as speeds rise, which is a good thing, and it remains a pretty natural feeling. This is actually a very nice steering for this kind of car. Largely the drive experience remains stress-free and responsive at the same time. What you will notice is that in the lower gears there is a tendency for the engine to be a little loud. You can hear it revving out to about 2,000-2,500 RPM and you want to get away from the traffic lights a little quickly. But once you're in those higher gears, the engine does settle down quite a bit. Now, the ride quality is another aspect of the C5 Across that we absolutely love. This has to be one of the most comfortable riding SUVs in this price range, if not the price range above, if not the most comfortable SUV. And the extra comfort that you can find in these seats now just seems like it's adding to that. Ride comfort is definitely the C5's strong point, and it only gets better. Okay, so does the C5 make sense? It's the most expensive SUV in its class. And considering its size and the number of people that it can seat, it seems like a tough sell. In our opinion, it still is the most comfortable SUV out there. So if comfort is your absolute priority over features and gizmos and tech and everything else, this could be the car for you. That said, there are SUVs out there that are better spec. Now if we put the updated C5 up against the brand new Hyundai Tucson, the VW Tiguan, the Skoda Kodiaq, and even the Jeep Compass, which the C5 won against last time, I don't think we're going to be getting a winner from France. And that's just because other SUVs in the segment have moved on quite a bit. And even if they seem expensive, I think the C5 makes them seem like their value for money. And that's just an unfortunate truth.
Well, Citroën happens to be following a minimalist approach in terms of creature comfort and features while offering customers driver's cars. And this minimalist approach will be largely applied to the EVs of the future, as well as we've seen earlier this week at the global premiere, the Ollie concept. The concept showcases the brand's intent to shed additional weight and cost by offering straightforward electric mobility. Do head to our YouTube channel for more details. On that note, it's time for us to wrap up this week's edition of Overdrive, but we'll be back next week with more high-octane stories. Until next time then, ride and drive safe.